Yep. So we have learned about the material components and the basic approach, how to implement. Have you tried that? Were you able to do it properly? Right? Have you tried this material designer? Have you tried working with those material design? So were you able to do that? So what about others? Right. Right. So today one more component I will show you. As already I told you that we are not learning all components there. Another component I will show you how to implement from the material library, so that you can try all others according to that, right? According to that. So one more, I will show you how to implement from the material library. Yesterday we saw how the date picker works. How do we deal with the date picker? Some other components, design and functionality. You can't try all of them because for that you need to learn some more topics like form and form handling. Appearance you can give, but behavior and functionality requires some more points to understand about working with the material, the concepts like forms. How do we work with the forms, right? I will show you one simple example. Suppose you see here, let's go into the design and check. So it is successful. Let's run this. And we are accessing that local host. Fine. So we have this designed yesterday. We designed this material component, a date picker for selecting the dates and handling. How the approach I already given in the note also. Now I will show you how you can explore by yourself. But every component you cannot try like that, because for that you need some more form related concepts. Suppose we have the official repository material Angular IO. In this, we have components. We have these components. In the components, so let's see one simple one. For example, I want this autocomplete. I will click on that autocomplete. So you will see some autocomplete options will come. Now observe here, an autocomplete. I am showing another example here. I am showing you the process, how you can explore by yourself, right? So complete, let's see. Actually, so in this autocomplete, you have to first understand what is the module required for this autocomplete. So that means the process I will show you. So first point is open material library. So material components. So you go to this location. You go to this location. So this is the location. Yeah. Angular material components. You need to go to that location. Then choose any component that you want to implement. Here I am choosing autocomplete. Autocomplete. I am choosing here autocomplete. Okay. After that, so you will find three tabs. So one is overview, and another one is API, and another one examples. You will have three tabs here: overview, API, examples. Now, first point is actually, so overview just gives you the information about it. That means overview contains summary about the component and its functionality. You can read about the component and its functionality from the overview, right? Now, API is very important. Actually, technically API contains information about the modules, and dependencies are required. Required for component. So the information about what modules are required and what are the dependencies required, they are present in API. So it also comprises of all properties and methods info. So it also comprises of all properties and methods info. That means whatever the properties, methods required, information about all the properties and methods required for the component. It also comprises of all properties and methods information. So methods information. Methods information required for used for the component, component. That's what information about which module is required, what are the dependencies, what are properties and methods, everything you can get in API. That means including the basic syntax. So syntax also it will contain. So you can see, you go to API, then it will show here. So the module. So which module you need? Mat autocomplete, from which location? And what is the selector? Selector is used for accessing it. That means generally here examples is a set of sample implementation. Samples is a set of samples for component. It is examples is a set of samples for component actually. Yeah. Now important is, so we have to go to API. So we need to go to API. So and verify. You have to verify module to import, and you have to verify selector to access. Actually, in this case, module to import is this one. This is the module to import. And selector to access, selector is this. So mat autocomplete selector with selector to access. So and exported as. So this is also required here, selector to access. Right. So here we need this. Yeah. So you need to understand these two things. That means which selector to use. So which one it has to export the class name actually. Selector to access. Selector to access. So you need to verify the module to import and the selector to access. So this is how we access in the form. And you will see all the properties list here and their functionalities. And very important is you can also see the dependencies. That means mat autocomplete trigger. So and how the mat autocomplete trigger selector is used. So that means for input we have to use mat autocomplete. That means mat autocomplete trigger is responsible for triggering the autocomplete, and you can use in input or you can use in text area. In which element you can use and what is the property name, it will show it. So that means generally, so mat autocomplete, so whatever the value you selected in an autocomplete, that value will be stored under this property, mat autocomplete property. I will show example also. So here you will get all the options. Position, so you can give auto, you can give above, you can give below. So it will show all the options. Methods, what methods it is having. So how we can define various options for that, from which interfaces and classes it is derived from. It will display all the details about that component. Generally, asynchronous methods we will see later in one simple integration of RxJS, I will tell you. So you don't need to worry about all these options until or unless you have a requirement for in-depth exploring it. Actually, you will find majority of your requirements in the first location, importing and the directives and the properties. These are enough actually. So these are enough. If you understood these, they are enough. You can simply implement them. Now, how to write it? What are the properties to use that you can manage from examples? So you need to go to examples. In examples, you can see, so several examples they will provide. Means for different options, they will provide several examples here. And you can see this is a simple autocomplete. It will come in this way. You click inside the input, it will get an autocomplete, it will display. And this is another autocomplete. And here, so when I am typing, it will display that. Here, when I am typing, it will not it will display here. Some examples, they will not display until or unless they are implemented actually. When I am typing, it is displaying. That means this is having some functionality also written. We will see that. These are different examples. You can see these are different examples. So you have different examples. So you can see these are the different examples. It depends on your requirement. So suppose I want to implement one example. Suppose I want to implement an example like this. So many times some interviewers will ask you a question, how you will get a drop down with some icons inside it. I already told you, there is no drop down in the world which can show an icon inside it. You have to customize according to your requirements. Select will not allow any icons inside them. You have to design custom components for them. In Bootstrap or in Material, you have to use your own custom things. So here, suppose I want to implement this one. So if I want to implement this design, right, then the first step, so you can see rights for this example. That means I will show you the point here. After that, to understand the design and the functionality of component. In order to understand the design and functionality of component, go to examples, and explore the source code of any example. Explore the source code of any example. You can explore the source code of any example by choosing this icon. That means by selecting this icon. So here you have option. This is view code. So by choosing that view code, source code of any example, by clicking on view code. So you have to choose that view code. So this is a view code icon. Now you click on this view code icon, then it will show you so 3 options. So you can see options are defined here. Now very important is, as we already know that every component comprises of three files. Actually, every component comprises of 3 files. One is the HTML, another one is CSS, another one is TS, TypeScript. So technically, and remember one point is every component may not use all the 3. So only some components have design and effects, some components have TypeScript and design and component. So depending on the component and depending on which example you are using. So that means now you have to go to the source here. In the source, you can observe now. So it is having HTML and it shows the syntax, how we can use it, how generally we can use it, technically how to use it. And you can see TypeScript, it contains the logic. It contains some logic. And it may contain some logic for handling and filtering and searching and doing some actions. Usually, in order to use these logics and understand the functionality, you need some more options to understand. Actually, some more options you need to understand. Some more options like you can use means how to dynamically create the forms, how can dynamically handle the forms, that you will learn in forms, and how we can use asynchronous methods. Because when you are looking at the options, so you can see it is using some logic also here. It is using some logic. You need to able to understand this logic, why it is used, how it is used. You can understand if you put a little effort inside this, right? So because all what we learned, only some additionally asynchronous methods are used by using RxJS that I will show you in the next level. First, I will show you how we can explore this, right? And it may contain some CSS. You see some CSS is given here, right? So don't copy and paste and design. So until or unless you are master in that. Why? Because generally when you do the options like copying, pasting, and making the corrections, then you will miss the hierarchy. Means you will not know the hierarchy, but you will be using them. You will not know the hierarchy, but you will be using them. So in that case, any issue comes, you cannot solve it. That is the reason. As of now, I will not give any logic based functionality to you, because actually here the logics, like we have a pipe, we have the options for observables and all, they require a library called RxJS. Later I will tell you about RxJS and RxJS operators. So I will give an overview of what is RxJS, because RxJS is a general JavaScript library for handling asynchronous interactions. It is a JavaScript library, just like JQLite, just like jQuery. RxJS is also a JavaScript library actually. Generally, experienced people work with RxJS in their general JavaScript, jQuery also they use RxJS. But this became a very common concept in Angular based environments. That is the reason sometimes people ask like, sir, will you teach RxJS in Angular? RxJS is a general JavaScript library. So you have to know about it as a JavaScript library, and it is not a part of Angular. It is integrated in Angular so that you can utilize it, right? You can, if you know about it perfectly, then you can implement it in every interactions. So that is the reason for Angular learners, it will be a little bit important to understand what is this RxJS. I will give you about it. Initially, so we will not touch this because we don't know about this yet. But design, we can accept the functionalities, the rest of things we can manage, I will tell you. CSS also there. Okay. So how to implement this? Let's check this. How do we implement this? Okay. So what I am doing now is how to implement this. Let's try. Let's go to API first. In the API, what is required for Mat autocomplete? Very important. When you go to example and you want to implement any specific example, then in that example you observe Mat autocomplete is not only the point here you are using. Mat autocomplete is being used with Mat form field. It is being used with Mat input. You have to, and Mat option. You need to make sure that these all are available or not for you. These all are available or not for you. You need to make sure that all are available or not, right? That is important. So technically, you should not just concentrate on this component. You should also see the example and verify whether in this example, along with Mat autocomplete, there is a Mat option. Obviously, if you are using Mat autocomplete, the Mat option is internally a child member of it, then it will give access to it. Otherwise, we need to import it. So generally, parent and child elements, you don't need to import both of them. Parent is enough, child element will work as a part of it. So what we need here, according to this design, what material components we need here, according to the design, up to this here, according to this design. So what are the material components we need here? So you might have identified, we need 3 material components. One is Mat form field, another one is Mat input, another one is Mat autocomplete. Mat option is a part of this Mat autocomplete. So we will expect that it will come by default along with this Mat autocomplete. So we have to go to, so let's design it now, right? I will clean this up, okay? So we need to go to, means we need to design something like that. So we need to go to app module. In the app module, already Mat form, we need to import another and we need to import So mat autocomplete from @ so Angular / material slash, and in the material library. So in the material library, we will have an autocomplete. We need to import this autocomplete. And from there, we have to import so mat autocomplete module. So we need this mat autocomplete module, and make sure that you are registering it. So here in the modules, we need to register that autocomplete module. Okay, this is the first step. So let's implement an example now. First point. So in that first point is, so import, you have to go to app.module.ts, and in this we need to import this. Okay, and already we have imported in our previous mat form field, and we have imported so, and register also, right? We will register this. Mat form field and mat input are registered already, and this is what we are using in imports. So we are using this in the imports. Let's keep this in the imports, right? I'm adding that in the imports. In the imports, we will keep this, right? In the imports, I am keeping it here. Now, important is, now the next point is, let's go to the design now. So the design is empty. Let's go to the design here. So our HTML. In the HTML, so you can look at the logic of this HTML. It is having a form. So I'm using traditionally like form, and form can have some name, reference, some name as FRM home something. Okay, and inside that, I already discussed yesterday that we keep everything in a mat form field. Okay, inside the mat form field, actually, I hope you know general autocomplete. General autocomplete is nothing but, suppose I will show you general autocomplete. So I will keep a heading here. So HTML autocomplete. HTML also have autocomplete. So how HTML autocomplete works? So I will just keep a div. So here we have a class as form group, and the HTML autocomplete. So I have a input type is equal to text. Okay, and in this input type text, class is equal to form control, and this is a general HTML thing. So we have this form control. This is a general HTML text box. Okay, and the placeholder I will just write here. So I will say that choose your country. So that is the placeholder inside that. Then it says choose your country, right? So choose or enter your country. Remember, it is not a drop down, right? We are just saying that your country. Just I said your country. Okay, and below this, generally you know that we can use a HTML data list. Actually, we can use a HTML data list. Data list contains option. So suppose we return like India, and we have an option. So US, and we have an option. So UK, like this. And this data list have an ID as a countries. Countries is the ID. And input have to use this data list. Input have to use that data list means it uses a list property is equal to countries. It should use that countries list. That is general HTML approach. And you see now here, so when I click here, you can see the list of those options will come. So we have India, yeah, India and US and UK, yeah. You can see when I click inside this, you can see this will come. We know this already. So we know this already. Suppose if I'm trying to use a class like form control like for this, so that means here usually it will show display directly like this. We don't want any default display. So then we will not use that because we don't want it to display. By default, it is hidden actually. Data list is hidden. And you observe here, when I click there and I'm typing India, it will get me that I can choose it. This is already there in HTML. Then why I should go for material, right? Why I should go for bootstrap like things? Why we need to go for that? Because here, suppose I want some icon here. I want some icon here. So span, some class, suppose FA and FA home, something like this icon I am adding beside it in the options. In the options, I am adding some icon inside it. You can see that icons are not coming because they don't have that ability. It is having some placeholder. So your country, and it is having a mat label. Yesterday we saw mat label. So choose your country like this. And here you can see this is still not a material input. Then I will add an attribute as mat input. So mat input. So then it gives a material input design for this material input. Now you can see this is your country. And this is a material input with a form field, with a label we design. I want it 100% width full. Actually, you might have observed in the design, you go to the Angular material CSS. They are using some width here. You observe here for this is the form field class is example full width class. Example full width class is using width 100%. Width 100%. Actually, you can copy these and you can use them. Or you can keep your own effects also. That's your wish. So that means because if you want exactly like this to implement, you can configure them. Initially, I'm copying that into CSS. So let's go to the CSS and in the form field CSS, I copied those effects I have there. And in this, you can see this is example form. This is for form. That means you go and in the design for the form we need to implement. Then in HTML form, we'll have a class called example form. Example form, that is the class name. So that is the class defined for it. example form. Okay. After that, for this we are using the class. So the class used for that is example full width. That is the class we have used for that. And I will implement that class here. And you can see that is the class applied there. Then full width, it will give it full width. Right? It will give that width according to the form, how much the form width is there based on that. Because actually, so max width is 500 pixel only. So, and it will fit up to 500 pixels only. That is the reason, right? Even it is 100%, max is 500. That means it will not go more than 500. It will not shrink less than 150. So minimum is 150, maximum is 500. That means its size will be changing within this only, within this. Okay, so that is one option here. Okay, now that is configured. That is fine. We have that. Other options we will see how we can manage. First option is we have a mat form field and a mat label, and we have the option mat input. And just like HTML, under this input, we need a autocomplete. In HTML, we use data list. And here, actually, we use mat autocomplete, actually. So we use mat autocomplete. So what we need to do is just below this. So below this input, we are using so mat autocomplete. Okay, this mat autocomplete. So you can verify in the material here, HTML. Mat autocomplete, you can see it is having a reference ID. So that means actually you saw in HTML, this data list have an ID. Because this data list should work for this text box. Then it should have an ID which it has to refer, input has to refer it. That is a general thing actually. And here we define ID with a hash reference. In material, IDs are referred with a hash reference. And here I will define as countries list. And this countries list should work for some mat autocomplete. It should work for mat autocomplete. So countries list, it is of what type? Autocomplete type, right? So that means mat autocomplete is an option. So why you have given this mat autocomplete option? Why? Because important is this is the model name now. This is the model name. So that means all the countries list, whatever you are selecting, that will be stored under this reference name. That is the model actually. And the point is input have to use this countries list as an autocomplete. That means this countries list is autocomplete type. Input has to use this countries list as autocomplete. That means generally HTML has a list attribute. Here we will have a mat autocomplete attribute. Mat autocomplete attribute. So this property should use countries list. It should use countries list. That means, so which autocomplete the text box should use? So it should use this autocomplete. How you will recognize that? Yeah, it is mat autocomplete. It is mandatory because it tells the type of content. This countries list of what type of content it is. It is an autocomplete type. Actually, you haven't learned about forms, right? So that means if you learned about forms, you see in the API, later you will see the forms also. So let's go into this API. And in the API, observe here the trigger. So what is the trigger? Mat autocomplete trigger. The property is mat autocomplete, whether you use for input or whether you use for text area. It is mandatory. Understood? right? I hope you understood, right? I already showed you in the beginning itself, right? That means in the API, you need to understand these triggers very importantly, right? So technically, so this is ready, but there are no options inside it. There are no options inside it. Actually, we need options. So actually, Mat autocomplete uses Mat option, just like HTML, Mat option. And this option should repeat for all the countries that we have. It should repeat for all the countries we have. So then we will do one thing. So usually what we do is, so we will go to the TS file. In this, we will create a list of countries. We will keep some images. So I will go to assets, reveal in Explorer, and in the assets, I will keep some images. So let's copy some images here. So let's copy some images. We have some projects workspace, right? So in this, I have projects, some SRC, some assets. Okay, some images will be there, some materials. Okay, India, UK, these images are there. I will copy them. Right. So small icons, right? Small icons. We have the small icons, India, US, UK, some icons are there. Fine. Yeah, US, India, right. Actually, these are small icons. So yeah. At least 1, 2 are enough, right? So 1, 2 are enough. If this is long, okay, fine. Right. I will keep that, right? I will keep that here, desktop files. Yep. Right. So I will copy them and use them here. So let's go to the project location. And in this material project SRC assets. Okay, let's copy these two. These are enough. And I will come back to our assets project workspace. Okay. And in this, we have our Amazon in SRC assets. I will keep these images, right? Just these are type PNG. Okay, India, UK PNG is there. Fine. So let's go and design here. That means I'm creating a array here. We are configuring an array. So let's create an array. So countries is equal to, it is an array. And it is having some, and we have flag. Flag is coming from assets India.png. Okay, and I defined some call code. So is some +91, something like this. Okay, and I have another name. Some we have UK, and we have flag. So this is from assets UK.png, and the call code. So UK call code. Okay, call code. It is some call code for UK. We just define some +44. Okay, that's how I added some array, and I want these as an options inside this mat option. For the mat option, then mat option should perform an iteration. We use an ng for, so let. So we have item of countries. Countries is the collection, and here we need to display. I will keep a span. I will keep a span. In one span, I want an image. Image SRC should come from, so item dot flag. It should come from item dot flag. Image source should come from item dot flag. And after that, I have another span. So, and I defined as a name. So here I need item dot name and another span. And I'm defining here call code. So item dot call code. So item dot call code. So we are adding those details here. This is in a mat option. We are adding those and displaying here. Now, technically, so when you configure this, so now one more, still it's not done because remember, whatever option you are selecting, so it should be used as a value. That means the value for every country should be the name. Because when I select this option, this name should be stored. That means what will be the value? So value for that option of value will be item.name, means what to submit when they select it. We have to submit item name. Okay, we have to choose that item name. So that is what we need to manage. Okay, now that is the value. And you can see this is what we designed as per the example. Let's go to the example. As per the example of this, you see the source. We have kept this image and see image is using a class called class as an example option. It is having a span. It is having small like options defined into it. Now these classes, if you copied and you can use those classes here, that means this image is having a class. That means that image is having a class. It is having the class example option image, which already we copied into this. We already copied into that. Similarly, you are applying some other classes depending on your requirement, image height, how much you need to configure. So that means height is defined as 25 there. So, and here we are defining the other population, that is, this is calling code, right? So some say calling code, okay. And the calling code is this. And here we have, instead of span, suppose it is like small. So small is a element which will display small text, right? That means font size reduced. And you have a pipe symbol also here combining. That means in the design, we have the pipe symbol. And image is not inside the span, then I can remove that, because even you use a small additional, the alignments and indentation may affect due to the ready-made CSS which are copied from this location. Right. So that is actually implemented in the HTML. So implemented in the HTML. So now once you configured that, and observe, so here is this is just design finished, and you can see in our design it is like this. I click on the country, then it should get me this and display. That means it is showing those options inside it, and you are selecting. So you are selecting, then it should get that and display. Obviously, only name will be displayed, not all the content. So India, right? You need to just get that, because the value is what you have sent into it. So the value will be submitted into it. Value will be submitted. You are choosing it. Now, one more option is there. Now, many times people ask, sir, when I'm typing India, it should give only India. Why it is not working? Why it will work? It will not work. It will work only when you write something about it. That means you need to write when key up, get the value they are typing, search for the value from this list and display only the value that is matching with the list. You have to write logic, na? Without writing logic, it will not have a predefined functionality ready-made. Only certain behavioral functionalities will be there, but rest of options you need to implement. That is the reason you see in the example they have given, in the example they have given, you observe here, it gets that information and display. And important is I'm typing here some California, it will get that. Now you may be wondering, here it is, because tomorrow once you start working with this, you will come with a complaint. Sir, in material example, when I am typing, it is working, but the example you showed, it is not working. Why? Why? Because we haven't implemented it. It will not work. Why it will work? You have to write the logic for that. And what is the logic? That you have to go into TS and observe. In the TS file, you can see that this is countries. Okay, we have that. That is not the point. And observe here, they have a constructor in that filtered states. Filtered states is nothing but you have, so state control value changes. State control value changes means actually, you see, state control is a form control. We haven't learned about it. And form control means actually they are using a dynamic form. They are using a dynamic form. Usually what happens is, if I want to collect the name of the state they have selected, if I want to collect the name of the state they have selected, that means you can observe in their design, this state control is a form control, and you can observe in the HTML. In the HTML, you can see that. So this text box is using that form control, state control. That means later you will learn, because we haven't learned about what is form control and all. Dynamic forms you will learn, right? So here the point is, as of now, what we can do, how to collect the value from this text box. We can collect the value from the text box by using a model binding technique. That means we can declare one property. What is that? Selected country. And how do we get that selected country? We can bind this text box by using a two-way binding, ng model, and we can use selected country. That means whatever the value entered inside that, it will be collected here. It will be collected here. I need to search for that inside this countries list, and I need to return. For that, you can observe in the TS file. In the TS file, you can observe they have written a logic. So that means, so here from that control, whenever value changes, so they use a simple map function. Actually, that is RxJS function. I will tell you later, right? So by using this function, they are verifying whether the array contains the state you entered. If it contains the state you entered, then it is going to return that and store in filtered states. So that means it is going to store in the filtered states. That means it is verifying whether it is available or not. And again, it should apply to the same filter and display into the same filter. For that, they have used another function to apply to the filter and configure. This looks a little bit complex, but it is not complex. It's very simple if you learn about some more functionalities, means how to deal with the forms. So that is what I said. Now don't ask what is pipe, sir, what is map, sir, what is start with, sir. Why you got doubt only about pipe? No, you haven't got any doubt about start with map. So others, I already told you they are all RxJS related functions. So that you will learn in the concept of a special library used for that. Don't ask what is observable, sir. You haven't seen observable here. You can't understand until or unless you learn about that. That's the reason I said that this logical part you ignore at this level. So because for that you need to learn some more things. So you don't even know form control. Why you haven't asked about form control? You have just concentrated only on pipe, right? So because you haven't observed everything, if you observed everything out of that, you know only one point, that's it. You don't know what is observable, you don't know what is pipe, you don't know what is form control. All are required. They are related to other options, you will understand, right? Don't worry about that, right? So observable is a JavaScript library. It is RxJS is a JavaScript library. Don't make it as a separate concept. So, right? Don't make it as separate concept. RxJS is a JavaScript library. RxJS. So it is a JavaScript library. RxJS is a JavaScript library. This is RxJS official library for RxJS. This is the JavaScript library. So RxJS, I will give you RxJS official location here, right? Yeah. That means this is the RxJS library. This is the RxJS library. That is a general JavaScript library. It is a general JavaScript library, right? It is a general JavaScript library. So it will provide so many options for filtering, sorting, searching, and all this. We can implement them. It is a JavaScript library. Don't make it a part of Angular again now, right? This is just a JavaScript library, right? It is a JavaScript library. You see, reactive extensions for JavaScript. It is a library, right? Yeah. So RxJS, so you, what you used, RxX, RxJX. Why you are using RxJX? So, okay, fine. We will discuss about that later. Don't worry about that and get panic, right? So don't worry about what we haven't discussed. Just concentrate on this. This is enough for you at this level. Huh? You try to achieve this. That is enough, right? Later, once you learn, you can understand about them. What is form control, how to handle them and use them, right? So this is the basic thing. And I showed you an approach how we handle. Based on that, you can try other components and you can examine other components. I hope everyone got a little bit clarity on that. And now you can try other components in the Angular library and you can see those components and explore those components and try to implement them by yourself. Only the logical part, handling interactions, requires some more knowledge on design. You can achieve. Behavior also you can achieve. Functionality you cannot achieve. For that, some more additional things we need to learn, like forms. Forms is very important to understand. And RxJS, those two, if you know, then you can handle the functionalities also properly, right? So this is generally the basic introduction of how do we work with materials. Rest of all things you have to explore by yourself. Now, after understanding this, now we need to understand another important concept, the material life cycle. I mean, component life cycle, how Angular component life cycle works. So what are the various stages of component life cycle that we will see in our next session. Tomorrow is very important. Don't miss tomorrow's concept. If you miss tomorrow's concept, you cannot understand for 2 more days. Why? Because tomorrow we are going to learn about the life cycle of Angular component. So then you can understand the process, how it works, right? So it is very important topic and it will continue for at least 2 days. That's the reason you need to attend tomorrow's session in order to understand the latest, right? So tomorrow and in interviews also several questions are asked on that particular life cycle components. That's the reason we need to be very perfect in understanding the life cycle. Tomorrow we are going to discuss about that component life cycle. Okay, right. This example I will post. Meanwhile, you try this by yourself. You try this by yourself with the help of